What's going on, guys? If you've been following the series so far, you should have a secret room that looks like this one, right? It's kind of like a dreamy portal looking room. And if you haven't been following the series so far, if you go back to video 9, you can download this entire project for free. And I've been posting the links to download everything that we've been putting into the game for free in each of the videos. You can go through and you can download it. The editor we're using to make this is Unity. It's completely free, and everything that we're doing is all free. It doesn't cost money to make a game like this. But anyway, so this is the secret room that we have so far. And in the last video, we made this X that you could put on the wall, and when you hit it with an attack, it so yeah, so like I was saying, when you hit the X on the wall, it blows up into like a fiery explosion and rocks. So today we're going to be putting the two together. So there's going to be X on the wall where the secret room is going to be. And then when you hit it with an attack, we don't have grenades yet, so we can't use grenades. It will blow up, and then you'll be able to go through a portal that it generates to go into the secret room. This is probably going to be a longer video, so I hope you guys will stick around to the end. If you are enjoying the series so far, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And yeah. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is if you double click on the canvas, you should get like this kind of like zoomed out screen. Click on the map, and we're just going to turn off the background of the map. We were only using that to judge how big the icons were. So if you change the alpha to 0, you can still see the icons that are on the map, but you won't be able to see like the actual background of the map. And you can see this just kind of makes the map look a little bit bigger. Maybe this should be more in the top right corner, but we're going to worry about that later. So then the next thing we need to do is we need to go into the code. Okay, so this is the generate level script. So if you're just starting in my video series now, I would recommend going back and watching all the other videos, because if you haven't been paying attention, you're not going to understand kind of what's happening. You can find this script inside of scripts, map generation, and you can double click generate level. I'm going to be posting the resulting code at the end of the video. So if you try to follow along and it doesn't work, you can download the code and overwrite your script with the script that I'm going to make, which will definitely work. So in this script, so the generate level script, we're picking a secret room location using the same script as the treasure room and the shop, but this is not actually what we want. We want the secret room to be in between, like it should be able to be anywhere on the map. It doesn't have the same constraint where it doesn't have like normal rooms beside it, right? So like it could be in between rooms, it could be like on, and it needs to be close to the start of the level. So we're going to take this exact same thing here, and we're just going to change this to generate secret room, and we're going to take away the parameters because we're always going to be doing a secret room with this method. Okay, so now we need to actually make this method. So let's copy this, and it needs to be a Boolean method, the same as our generate special room. So if we type in private bool, and you could just paste it, then we need to return false. Here we have this method, right? And we're going to be generating a secret room on the map. So what are the constraints of the secret room? So it needs to be close to the start. So the X and Y should be less than 3, and they should be greater than -3 as well, because it needs to be close to the starting room. So the starting room is at 0, right? So starting room is at 0, 0. So we want it to be around the starting room somewhere, right? This is the normal secret room. And then in the Binding of Isaac, there's also a super secret room, which is close to the boss room at the end. We're not going to be adding that today. We're just going to be adding like the normal secret room. And then we can add the super secret room later after we add enemies and all the other stuff that we have to add. But yeah, so this is pretty easy, right? So we're going to go for each room are in level.rooms. Okay, so this constraint, let's copy this into the for each loop, right? So if our location x is less than 3 and our location y is less than 3, right? Or what we're going to do is we're actually going to do greater than. So we're going to do greater than 3. So if it's greater than 3 on the y or the x, we're just going to continue. So continue just means to go to the next iteration of this for loop. So the reason being is that automatically, if it's above 3x or y, it's not suitable to be the secret room, right? So we're going to be not checking any rooms that are greater than 3. Now we also need to do the absolute value, right? So if we type in mathf.abs, we can put this in parentheses, and absolute value just takes away the negative sign. So let me just open Paint for a second. So let's say this is the start room, right? And this is -1x, and this is +1x. So -1x plus 1x, right? Absolute value just gets rid of this sign. So this would also be +1x. So that way, if we have a room that's over here, like 2, 3, right? And then 4, it's off my thing, right? This will be greater than 3 because the absolute value takes away the sign. So want to be not going greater than 3 in the negative either, right? So that's what absolute does. We're going to be using that. Absolute value is very, very useful. I use this in all of my scripts pretty much for everything. So you're going to want to memorize what that does. I must have added an extra parentheses or something. Oh, the absolute value is only of y. It's not of the things together. Okay, so if the absolute value of the location of x or y is greater than 3, we're just going to continue, which just means we're going to the next room in the list automatically. Okay, and the next constraint that we're going to add is that it can't be the start room, right? So if the r.location.x is 0, and actually we could just do both at once. So we could just do r.location is equal to new vector 2, and then we'll do 0, 0. Actually, I think we could just do vector 2.0, right? Yeah. So we don't want it to be attached to the start room either, because the start room doesn't have a secret room attached to it, obviously, right? So those are 2 constraints. So then we need to find a room. So we're going through the room list, right? And it should be organized top to bottom, but it should be randomized, right? So we already shuffled the list when we were generating the special rooms, right? So we want to do that again. Okay, so in the generate special rooms, I didn't actually add this shuffle list line. You have to do that to actually shuffle the list. So it was just using the normal list. So then the room would always be the first one that it found. That's obviously not what we're looking for, right? So let's take this shuffled list and we're just going to go back and generate secret room at the top. And it's just the same exact thing, right? We're just getting a shuffled list. And then instead of going through the rooms, we're going to go through the shuffled list instead. That way it's a random room that gets picked. Otherwise, it will go in the order of the rooms were added to the list in a certain order, and it will go through that order and just it will be the same every single time, right? Like you'll be able to figure out where the room's going to be because it's not going to be random at all. All right, so now for every single room that we go through, we need to check all the directions, right? So let's type in the names of the directions, right? So we need to check to the left of this room. Is there a room already there? If there's not, we're just going to add the secret room there, and then we're going to get out of the method and just finish and return true, right? So let's see. So if the level dot rooms dot exists x, so this is a lambda function, by the way. We're just checking if the position or location is taken is equal to r dot location plus new vector 2 -1 0. Okay, so if not level room exists, so if this doesn't exist already, so this is the location of the room in the list. So we're going through the list of all the rooms that exist, right? And if this the room to the left of this room doesn't exist, then we want to create that room, add it to the list, and then get out of the method, right? So we need to make a room because the room doesn't exist already, right? So we need to make a new room. I think we can copy this from, let's go to the start method. I don't even think we need to type those in. So then this shouldn't be this. It should be dot secret room. Okay, and the location should be this new location that we just found, which is our location plus this. And then we're not going to set the current room. We just did that because we copied it. So then we need to add this to the list. So we can't use R because this is actually, so we'll just type in SR for secret room because that's the room that we're making. And then we'll just put that here. So then in the list of rooms, so level.rooms, we need to add this room to the list. So we're checking if there's a hole in the left, essentially. So, and if there's no rooms that are to the left of this room, we're going to generate this. We're not factoring in if there's other rooms around it. So for the other rooms, we made sure that there's no rooms touching it. Now, we should make sure that there's no boss room touching it, but that's not important. We're not going to do that this time. Maybe later we'll go back and change it. So we just want to paste this into all 4 of these slots because we need to check every single direction. And we should probably write this as a method that let's just go through this and then we'll see if ChatGPT can do that for us. So we're just going to change this to this, and then for upwards it'll be +1 in the y-axis instead. So 0, 1, 0, -1. Yeah, so this will check in every direction. And then what we also want to do is if we add a room to the level list, we can return true. So if we get through all of the rooms, because return will immediately exit the method, and it won't keep going through the loop, it will just finish immediately. It will return out of the method and it will say that we did find a secret room to draw. If it goes through all of the rooms and it doesn't return true, then it's going to return false. And then in our start method, if it returns false, like if this is false, then it will regenerate, and will, like, the secret room has to draw, or else, like, you have to have a secret room, or else I don't know, there just has to be a secret room. All right guys, now I want to show you something really cool. A lot of people don't know this. With ChatGPT, you can actually copy in an entire method, like this entire thing. You can copy it in and tell it to simplify it, and it will actually simplify it for you. So let me just copy this entire for each method. I think that's it. Hi ChatGPT, please simplify, no, please make this code more efficient. And then you could just paste in the code. Watch this. ChatGPT can literally make this better. So it creates this method for you, so you don't have to do it. So like, we need to keep the for each loop, but change it to what it said or whatever, right? And then it has a method down here, and we'll just copy that one in. Yeah. Okay, so a lot of people don't know that, but you can literally copy in your code into ChatGPT and it will optimize it for you, so you don't actually have to optimize it yourself. So it created a vector array of the directions, and it iterated through the array with another for each loop to check if the room exists, with a method that it created that adds it to the list the same way. So if you guys didn't know that, you can literally copy, like, I think it can take quite a bit of code into, and it will rewrite it for you for free immediately. It's kind of mind-blowing, but I know there's a lot of people that don't like ChatGPT, but that's incredible to me. I don't know. Okay, and it looks like we might have generated a forever loop. My game eventually came back, but if yours crashed, that sucks. You just have to relaunch your thing. As long as you have a Visual Studio Editor open, you should be able to save the code, and that's all we've really been working on anyway. So each time start gets run, we should increment max tries. And then in this else, like this regenerate method, they should only try to do this like 10 times or something. If it takes more than 10 times, that means it's either really inefficient or so if max tries is greater than, let's just do 15, then we're just going to return. Okay, we don't want to keep trying forever, because if you ran it, you will know that it crashed. I'll put a warning in the video so that you don't run it as well. I'll just put like text or something. But yeah, so if you don't add max tries, it's gonna, like, it seems like it crashes. So something we're doing in the secret room generation must be causing a forever loop. So okay, and I figured out why it was a forever loop. So when it creates the new room, the copied code doesn't actually return true here. So after it creates the room, it should be returning true from the method, right? So that way it can know that it's generated a secret room. If it never generates a secret room, it will just keep retrying over and over and over again. So we need to change this. Instead of having it add this room to level list, like level.rooms, you should use this draw room on map command. This will add it to the map as well, because there needs to be a room image on the map so that we can change the sprite when we get near the room. So change this to draw room on map. And then the next thing we need to do is we need to make sure that the room that gets generated is not touching the start room. So right now, if it's 0, 0, it will work, right? But let me just open up Paint so I can explain what the problem is. So let's say we have the start room here, right? And then there's a room here and there's a room here. Well, let's say it's going through the list and it gets to this room and it checks downwards, right? Well, this room is not 0, 0. This room is 1, 1, right? So this room is 1, 1, and it checks all the directions, right? It needs to check that this room is not touching the start room. Otherwise, it could be drawing it right next to the start room, which we don't want that, right? So let me just minimize this for right now. If the new location .x is greater than 0 and the new location .y is greater than 0, then it can do this, right? But if it's not, we just want to keep going on with the list, because we don't want to be drawing this touching the start room, and this technically it could be, so if it's 0 on the X and 0 on the Y. Okay, I think I don't know why, but I think that it's actually fine. So if the new location.x is greater than 1 and the new location.y is greater than 1, we also need this to be the absolute value. So mathf.absolute value, and it should be or. Yeah, it should be or, not and. So then let me just get a new pane here. Hang on, let me think about this. So this is the start room, right? So let's say we have these rooms around it, just random rooms, right? So if the value is greater than 1, so like this would still be drawable because it's or, so the x value is greater than 1 in this case. So instead of and, we'll just use or, and it should work. Okay, so if the absolute value of x is greater than 1, or the absolute value of y is greater than 1, so this will prevents it from being drawn next to the start room. Okay, so this should fix this problem. There's also the problem of it could be touching the boss room, but we're not going to deal with that in this video because this is already going to be pretty long. We have to draw the X on the wall still, and we have to change rooms still. So let's deal with that later. Okay, so now you can see that it will draw it with other rooms touching it as well, right? So like this is the start room up here, and this is the secret room, right? And it has this room touching it and this room touching it. So there could be 2 entry points to the room. Now this is still not the way that it works though, right? So in this case, now we need to draw the X on the wall so we can blow it up, right? So instead of it just being a door, this is not what we should see here. We should see an X where we can blow up, like, we don't have grenades yet, but we're going to be hitting it with an attack. It's going to blow up, it's going to spawn a portal, and then we're going to use the portal to go into the room. So let's press play and get out of the game. So I've made a prefab out of this draw X. This is like where the X is getting drawn. So inside of our folder structure at the bottom in the secret room folder, you just need to drag this draw X down here. When you do, it will create this prefab, right? And then we can delete the X from the scene because we don't just want this to appear on the wall wherever. We want this to appear on the wall where we're going to draw that room. Okay, so now we're in the change rooms script. So if you go through the scripts at the bottom, this is inside of player because the player is who's changing rooms, right? So this script is attached to the player. So inside of the script, revealing the rooms, this should only happen if the room number is not 4. So we only want to reveal the secret room after we've blown a hole in the wall. We don't want to reveal the secret room when we go into a room that's adjacent to it. You're supposed to, it's a secret, right? That's the whole purpose of the secret room, is that it's a secret. So we only want to reveal this if it's not room number 4. So you could just put and the room dot number is not equal to 4, and then you could just copy this onto all of these. So we're not going to be revealing the room if it's number 4, but we do want to draw an X on the wall. Where we draw the doors is where we need to do that. So on controller collider hit, we are checking if we're hitting, which door we're hitting. Check doors, how we change rooms, right? And then enable doors is where we turn on the doors. Okay, so we're enabling the doors. So if the room that we're going to try to enable is going to be a door, we're not going to enable the door. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to draw an X there. So this is checking if the level exists, if the room exists. So if the room does exist, we need to check what room it is. So if level.rooms.first.room number is equal to 4, and we want to draw the X here instead. So every other room is just going to have a door here for right now. For this one, so first this is the same thing, right? So exist checks if it exists, but first we'll actually return the object. So this actually gets the room at this location, whereas this just checks if it exists. So if it does exist, then we're getting the room. And if its room number is equal to 4, then we need to draw the X on the wall, right? So what we want to do is we want to set this as so game object go is equal to this game object. So this is where the left door is on the, like in the room, right? So instead of drawing a door there, we're going to draw an X there. So what we want to do is instantiate. So we don't have the prefab for the X yet. So we need to get that, right? So we can do that via the level. So inside of the level static class that we made previously, this is inside of the, I think it's in map generation or something at the bottom here. Yeah. So if you go to scripts, map generation, there's a script called level. This is a static class where we're saving variables. Okay. If you've been following the series, you already know this, but if you haven't, then follow the series. But anyway, so we're making a game object. We could just call this this X mark, okay? And then we're gonna save this, and then an initialize player, which is attached to the player, which will be in the player folder at the bottom. We're going to put an input for a public game object X mark, and then inside of this we can set level.x mark is equal to X mark, okay? So then we need to go and save this, and if we go into the player himself, hopefully I'm not going too fast here, we need to drag that prefab that we made of the X into this, right? So let's go find that. It's in the secret room folder. It's called draw X. We're just gonna drag that into this slot. So now we have this in the static class, so we can use this wherever we want to. So in the change rooms, we want to instantiate this object. So instead of a door getting shown, like we're setting the door to active here, we want to set this X to be the door. So we just want to instantiate the level.x mark, and the location that we want to instantiate it at is the go.transform.location, go.transform.position. Sorry, not location, it's position. And then the rotation should be the rotation of the door. So go.transform.rotation. So we're drawing the X, which is the thing that we worked on in the last video, at the door's position in the rotation of the door. Now we might have to move it away from the wall because the door is directly touching the wall, but we might have to move it towards the center of the room. We'll get to that if that is the case. We're not going to be doing that yet, so let's just copy paste this into these slots for now. And let me just make sure this makes sense still. So this won't be the left door anymore, this will be the top door. Make sure you're copying the one that is like already here, and we just need to do this on all of them. So this will become bottom door, and then this one will become the right door. Yeah, so we're finding where the door is, we're drawing the X, yeah, and it should be in the same rotation as the door. So let's see if this works. We need to also know that it's, oh, I think we already have that anyway. So let's run the game and see if we can find the X. Yeah, so room 4 is at 0 and 2. So 2 is in the y-axis, so it should just be right above this, right? Okay, so this is too close to the wall. So you can see it did draw the X, which is right here, right? But it's too close to the wall. So if we move this away from the wall, we go back to the game. Let me just actually rotate it and see. Wait, no, it's not too close to the wall. The rotation is wrong. So let's just put it back where it was and rotate it 0. And yeah, there we go. Okay, so it's fine the way it is, but it would just need to be rotated the opposite of the way that the door is rotated. So the rotation should, oh no, it's a rotation. It's not a vector. So we need to multiply it by quaternion.euler 0, 90, 0. Yeah, and then we just need to do this on all of them. So this means that the door is facing the opposite direction. Or instead of doing this, we should change. Now we need to do this. So let's just do that. Just put it into all the rotations. So this will rotate it 90 away from the direction it's currently facing, and it should fix the problem. So let's see. Okay, so the doors, the secret is at -2 and 1. So let me just see if I can find it. Hang on. Okay, so here's another problem. So this time it drew it in the secret, in the item room. So technically we wouldn't want this to be able to be drawn on any rooms that are not normal. So we don't want it to be off the item. The item room shouldn't have this attached to it. We're gonna leave it for right now just because of the length of the video, but you can see it drew an X on the wall and it's visible, right? And this says X, draw X clone on it. So this probably won't even blow up when you hit it. And it's because this needs to just say draw X. Okay, so we need to actually rework the spell script. So that was the one, this one's attached to the player as well. Right now it's checking if the name is equal to draw X, but where we just want it to be .contains draw X, because when it creates it, it adds the word clone at the end, right? We could also delete the word clone off of it, or we could check if it's draw X clone, or there's lots of ways around it, right? Okay, so that should fix that problem. And now it's drawing the X on the wall correctly, which is perfect. And this is really good because if it's any type of wall, like if it's a rock wall or any type of special object or whatever, it will draw it on anything, right? So here it is at 2 and -1. So we need to go 2 in the X and -1. So you can see that it's drawn here, right? There's an X there. This is really good. And then if we go down here as well, there's the X as well. Now there's another problem. Every time we enter this room, it will draw the X. So we don't want to be able to spawn infinity X's, because then what you could do is you could blow up multiple rooms. Oh, it blew up all of them at once, but you could blow up multiple at once. So if this already exists, if draw X is already in the scene, we want to not do that, right? So what we want to do is check the entire... Okay, so what we need to do is we actually need to put the X into the folder. So if you remember in the previous videos in the game, when you enter a room, there's all these folders that are associated with the room that you enter, and that's where you store all the objects. Well, we need to put the X into the folder. Instead of having it like in the default area in the hierarchy, it needs to be in the folder associated with the room. And then if there's already an X in that room, then we don't want to draw another one, right? So what we want to do is here at the very top of this enable doors method, we have the transform for the room that we're in, right? So we just want to put it inside of that. So if you put a comma at the end of instantiate, you could just put a T here, which is the room that we're in, right? And then it will put it inside of the folder of the room that we're in. So we just want to do this on all of these methods. It probably would have been better if we did this before we copy pasted it, but you know, nothing ever works out perfect. And then we need to make a new method. So void check if room already has X, and we'll pass in the transform. And this will be a Boolean value actually instead, and we will return false. So then before we do this, so if not check if room already has X, then we'll instantiate the X. And we can actually put this whole method here. We only want to instantiate the X one time. So, oh, this has to be a method. So like this. Cool. So we're just going to copy this onto all of these. So like this and like this, and get rid of the extra line. Oh, and we got to pass in the transform. So the transform is T. So like that, make sure you put a T in it. And then like this. Okay, so now we need to, so we need to fill out this method. So for each, no, for int I is 0, I is less than plus I, if t dot get child I dot name dot contains what was the name of it? Raw X. You should probably name this like secret room X or something else. Draw X is not really a great name for this. So if it contains it, then we're going to return true. So if it's already drawn, then it'll be true. And if it doesn't, then it will return false. So we're only going to be drawing the X one time. Okay, so you can see that it drew it on the left side here, right? So if we look, this should be inside of room 7, because that's the room that we're in, right? So it put the draw X into room 7. And if we enter this again, it doesn't draw it again. It only draws it one time. And that way, like if there was a multiple, this is a bad example because there's only one room touching it. But if there was multiple, it would still only draw one, because so there can only be one secret X for the room called to draw X per room, right? So we'll only do it one time. Okay, so now inside of the spell script, when we hit the X that we're blowing up, right? This is what's drawing the secret room. Not only does it need to instantiate the secret room explosion, it needs to instantiate a secret room door. So we need a prefab for the secret room door, and the rotation needs to be the rotation of the door or whatever we hit, right? So what we want to do is, if we go to level right here under secret room explosion, we need a secret room door, which we're just going to be using the portal that we already created that's inside of the secret room. So the portal on the outside will be the same as the one that's going to be on the inside, right? So inside of the instantiate player, we can make another game object, secret room door. And then inside of here, we can set that the level.secret room door is the secret room door that we're importing, right? So if we go back into the player, we need to add the secret room door to the initialize player script. Okay, so I think that we have a portal somewhere for this. Hang on, let me just see if I can find it. So room 4, no, we don't have a portal for it yet. So what we need to do is we need to actually get one of these doors, secret room portal, and just drag it into the bottom and make a prefab out of it. And then you can turn room 4 back off again. So then what we want to do is, let me just make sure. Yeah, okay, it's still here. So then inside of this, we can drag in this secret room portal into the secret room door slot. And then inside of the code, inside of spell where we're instantiating this explosion, we also want to instantiate a door, right? And the name of the door, we don't want to destroy this door. This door should stay there, and it should be inside of the transform of the room that we're in. It needs to be in the door folder because we need to be able to walk through it. So instead of instantiating a secret room explosion, we want to do a door, and it's going to be at the collision position. That's fine. And then the rotation should be the same as the thing that we hit. So it should be collision.collider.transform.rotation. We might have to add 90 to this like we did in the other script. I'm not sure. We'll find out. But okay, so now that we've added that, we need to put it inside of the door folder. So we need to find that. Okay, so transform T is going to be game object dot find, and then we're going to find level rooms, because rooms will always be enabled. You can only find game objects that are enabled, by the way. So if you try to look up like directly just type in number 4 or whatever, it's not going to work. So we want to find rooms, and then from there, we want to find the player.current.room number. And then from there, we want to find doors.transform. So this is the transform of the why doesn't it like this? Oh, room number is a number. We just need to do .toString then. So we're getting the transform of the doors folder that's inside of the room that we're currently in. And we're going to set that to be the parent of the secret room door. And then we just need to rename this. So game object secret door is this, right? But we just need to rename this to the direction that it's in. So, okay, so here we're using the ternary operator to find out which direction the room is in, right? So we shouldn't actually be using the transform position. We should be using the collision position. Shit, let me do that instead. Collision.collider.transform. Oh my god, okay, let's do that instead. And then instead of 30, this can probably just be like 10 on each axis. This is where we're hitting the secret room. So like this is the location of where we're hitting, right? And if the position of the x-axis is greater than 10, it's the right door. So like if you look at the screen, if the x, which is this red line, is greater than 10, it's the right door. Then if it's less than -10, it's the left door, right? So the ternary operator, it allows us to declare a string value using a set of parameters. And this is just like Boolean. So it's asking, is this true? And if it is true, it's this. And then you can do another statement. Is this true? If it's true, then it's this. So we'll go through this whole list. And if any of these are true, then it will set this value. If none of them are true, which this will never happen, but this is like a default value. So like this last value, there's no condition, right? It's center. So if nothing ends up being true, it just ends up being center. And then we want to name the secret door this. So the secret door dot name can be the direction, because when we go to change rooms, that's how it's working, right? So if like, let's say it's the right door, right? Well, if we add a right door, like let's say it's room 7 and we're in the doors folder, the way that let me just turn off my Facebook, hang on. The way that it works is like if we walk into anything named right door, it will go through the door, right? So if we name the secret portal right door, then automatically our other code is going to work. The only reason you can't get into the secret room is because there's not a door for you to go through to get into it. So if we've set this up correctly, it should be working. Let's find out. So the secret room is at 2 and -2, so probably downwards. -2, yeah, right here. Okay, so if we hit this, it should blow up. It created a secret portal, which is way too big, right? And it's also not in a good spot. So like this is then why is it so big? Is 4 bigger? No. So secret room portal is not the right thing to make a prefab out of, and this is why. So the secret room portal is the thing that's on the floor, so that's why it's not working properly. So this circle on the floor, that's the secret room portal. It is working, but it's just not the right thing that we should have made a prefab out of. So what we want to do is we want to go back to room 4 and get one of these doors, and then copy door into as a prefab. and we'll call this secret room door. And then in our player, we want to drag this secret room door into this. I named it portal. This is the circle that's on the floor. So that's what the confusion is. Okay. So that's why it was so massive and it looks so ugly. So if we run this again, it should be working now. Let me just, yeah, let's run it. Let's see. Also, it didn't have a box collider, and that's why we couldn't go through the door. So let's go 3 over. It's attached to the item room. We're just going to ignore this for right now, but generally we wouldn't allow this to be attached to the item room. So there's the portal. This should be over top of everything. You should be able to see this over top of everything. Let's go into the secret room door for a second, and let's click edit on this. And then we want to be able to see this over top of everything. So if you click on the output particle quad on the right side, there's a Z test mode, and we're just going to put always. And this should make it so that the particles appear above everything else in the game. So that way, like if it's below the ground or whatever, you can still see it no matter what. The room is at -1 and -2. So let's go find it. Okay, so right here. So yeah, so this is looking perfect. Okay, so this creates a portal into the secret room. And if you go through the portal, it takes you into the secret room. And you can go out of it into the other rooms, and it will reveal it on the map. Now this, if you go out of the portal, it should be open on all sides probably. I didn't really think this through, and maybe you have to bomb the whole, like bomb the right wall or something like that. If we go into a room, I guess also, if this is already broken in here, does it save that? Let me see. No, it doesn't. So every time you go into this room, it's not checking if it's already been opened or not. That's a whole different problem, isn't it? Okay, so to fix the problem, what we need to do is when we enter the room and we're checking if it already has the X, we also need to check if we've already blown up a hole in the secret room. If we have, we're gonna open all doors. Because they're portals, it's not really the same as the Binding of Isaac where it's like a hole in the wall where we would have to memorize each hole that's been blown up. That's gonna be a lot of, like that will be a lot of work to do that way. And I don't think it makes sense because inside of the secret room, it's kind of too dark. Like it's like a portally kind of walls. We would have to create some type of like fissure, and it would have to look more portally. It couldn't just be an X, right? Like the X isn't going to work. It's a visual effect wall, so you would need some type of visual effect that's not just an X to actually be drawn there. We're not going to do that right now. We might do that in a later version of this or at a later time. So what you could do is like, let me just turn off room number 0. And we'll turn on room number 4, which is the secret room, right? So if we try to draw an X on the wall, like if we get rid of one of these doors, like the right door, for example, let's just get rid of it, right? Drawing an X here, we would have to add, so like it's just a black X, right? So it would need to be some type of like extra, it would have to be glowy or like some type of like portally looking X. We're not going to do that in this video because we don't want this video to be literally 2 hours. So you can do that in the same method that we drew the X. It just needs to be a different color. So like you could go in there, you could add a parameter to the blackboard and change this output color to be not black, because black is obviously not going to be visible on this glowy looking wall, right? Like obviously it won't be visible, right? So we're not going to do that right now. We're just going to make it so that as soon as we've blown one hole in the wall, every room that's attached to it is going to have a portal that you can walk through, right? Adding it the other way is very easy, and if you've been following this, you should be able to go and do that yourself without me doing it for you. I'm not going to do that just because I don't want this video to be like 2 hours, right? So what we want to do is if we go back into the level class, we're going to type in public static bool, and it's blood and it's going to be secret room exploded. It's going to be false. So the second that we explode the secret room, level dot secret room exploded is going to be true as soon as we do this. So then when we're changing rooms, instead of drawing this, like, so if this is here, if the level dot secret room exploded, and then this can be in the else statement, right? So if it's not exploded, then we need to check if there's an X there. Then we need to draw this secret room. So back in the spell script, we can just steal this code here. We already have T, which is where we're going to be drawing it, right? So we don't want this to be at the collider position. We want this to be at the go.transform.position. So we're putting it at the exact location of the door. So we need this still. So let's put this here. And then this can be go. And then we want this to be go.transform.rotation. And this actually needs to be go.transform, right? Because we're no. We need to put this in the doors folder. So I think T is the doors folder, right? No, doors is the doors folder. Okay, so let's put it in doors. So we're if we've already blown this up, we're just going to be drawing the secret room instead, right? So let's take this and we'll put this into all of them, right? So we're only drawing these if they are, like, if we haven't blown it up, right? So let's do that. Cool. Okay, so we're in room 0 and -3 and 1. Okay, so -3. So it's attached to both the item room and the thing, right? So if we hit this, it creates this portal, and there's this as well. So we're inside the room, and then if we go through to this side, the portal is not facing the correct direction. Crap. Okay, so let's see, what's the rotation? Oh, because we did left door on all of them, right? So in this header, so we did left door here. This needs to be top door, and this needs to be bottom door, and this needs to be right door. Okay, let's run it again. I should have disabled the, hang on, I'm just gonna disable that real quick. Turn off room number 4, turn on room number 0. Should be starting in the start room, right? Yeah, so there it is. We blow a hole in the wall. But anyway, you can see, so there's a portal that got generated here. And if you walk through it, now we're inside of this room. It's attached to the boss room, so this is not allowed. When we make the boss fight, when you enter the boss room, it doesn't matter what side you enter from, you'll always start in the same spot in that room anyway. But we don't want the secret room to be able to go into the boss room. So let's go back. Oh, it still did the wrong direction. Okay, so we need to add 90 rotation to all of the sides the same way we did before. So when we're instantiating the secret room, the right door, like for example, the X was, we had to add 90 and the Y axis to rotate it, right? So for each of the secret rooms that we're instantiating this way, we actually have to multiply by 90 in the Y axis to make them facing the correct direction. And then we also need to rename these so that they're the same name as the door that they're going to be replacing, right? So in this case, we would do secret door dot name is right door, etc. for all of them, right? So let's go down and do that. Sorry, up and do that because I'm doing it on the bottom one right now. So this one is the bottom door. Otherwise, because we're instantiating it, the name of it, the prefab is like secret door or something, right? So it needs to be the same name as the door that it would be replacing. Otherwise, the other script that checks the doors or whatever won't work. So yeah, so if we set this up properly, it should be rotated correctly now, and you should be able to walk through it. And I think that's probably going to be it for the video. So let's see. -2 is downwards right here, right? So if we hit the wall, it will open a hole in the door. We can go through the door. It shows like all 3 rooms. It reveals the rooms around it. So it's the same as like going into the room. We're reusing this method because it does that code already, right? So now if we go up, you can see that the door is here and we can go back into it. And like, if you look on the map, that question mark is there after we go into it. This is how the secret room works in The Binding of Isaac. So it usually uses a grenade instead of an attack. We are going to add grenades. I already made a video on how to make the exact grenade from my other game that I don't know if I showed it in the very like first video or whatever. I already showed how to make that, but I'm going to be doing it again in this series. And I've been upgrading like my video quality and like the mic quality and everything like that. So if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And I hope I'll see you guys in the next one.